Well, a very, very happy Wednesday morning to everyone, and welcome to the John Kentera Show on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Glad you could join me this morning. We got, a ton to talk about. We're going to get into our Padres here before too long, but just want to remind everyone our usual info if you're tuning in for the very, very first time, and want to thank everyone that has subscribed. We're building our viewership up rather nicely on the John Kentera Show, San Diego Sports Talk. But if you're tuned in, haven't subscribed yet, would very much appreciate you to subscribe, like, share, tell a friend. And if you'd like to be a part of our Gold Glove membership, $2.99 a month. And that helps with the channel, nice supportive of the channel. And thank you very much for a lot of the supers that you've been sending in during the course of the program. We got a big show for you today, but want to remind you Monday, we'll be off on Monday. We'll have a show Friday. We'll be off on Monday because I'm speaking at the 29th annual Jocks Luncheon down at Tom Ham's Lighthouse. And again, that'll be $60 at the door for people that want to come by and hear what I have to say. Also, we're going to have former Lincoln High great, UCLA star, and NFL player with the Philadelphia Eagles. Once upon a time, led the NFL in punt returns. Wally Henry. I'm looking forward to meeting Wally Henry. I've heard about Wally Henry pretty much since I was a teenager, so I'm looking forward to meeting Wally on Monday. Again, that'll be at Tom Ham's Lighthouse. I'm their featured speaker on Monday, so we'll be off and we'll be back in on next Wednesday. We'll have a show on Friday. Okay, we got a lot to cover today. We're going to get in a little bit later into Bill Belichick being denied in his first opportunity to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But this guy here, me and him have been friends for a long time. We used to do pro basketball together. And this young man's journey has been really cool for me to watch personally. And the other night, I don't watch or listen to a lot of hockey. I enjoy going to hockey. But, if a basketball game's over, I'll tune in. But the other night, I made sure that I tuned into the radio broadcast of the Anaheim Ducks. I'm not going to say Mighty because they're not the Mighty Ducks any longer, but they're the Ducks. And Steve Carroll, who's a great broadcaster, been a friend of mine for years, been taking a little bit of time off. So my buddy, Tim Neverett, play-by-play voice of the Los Angeles Dodgers on both television and radio, joining me right now. And I would imagine he's joining me from Vancouver because I know the Ducks play there tomorrow night. And Timmy, thank you very much for the time. And man, I'll tell you what, I listened to you the other night, and for a guy that kind of got called out of the bullpen a couple of weeks ago, man, it seems like you've been calling NHL games for 20 years.
Thanks. It's, hockey's something that I think people that listen to me do baseball or have listened to me do baseball for a long time, they have no idea about my hockey background because I did pro hockey for 5 years. A number of years ago, I've done a lot of college hockey on television for a lot of years. I did Olympic hockey at a couple of different Olympics. And it was kind of funny in a way because last year, Steve needed a little time off. And I got a phone call out of the blue because of one of my old hockey connections, a guy that I've known for 30 years, John Allers, who does television for the Ducks. And John and I were together in the minor leagues in hockey. He was in Detroit. I was in Las Vegas. And in the same league, the International Hockey League. Remember, the San Diego Gulls used to be in the IHL years ago. And I literally was getting out of the gym and my phone rang, didn't recognize the number, didn't look like spam. So I answered it, and it was someone with the Ducks. And they said, John knows you, and we need somebody tomorrow against Nashville. Can you get down here? And I said, and I'm looking at my watch going, you need me tomorrow? Okay. So I went to down to Anaheim and did that game. And then after the game, they sat with me and they said, look, we've got a couple of games on the road in Seattle and Calgary. Can you go do those? I said, yeah, absolutely. So it's very different doing hockey on radio than on TV. And I hadn't done it on radio in a long time. So I had to kind of dust off the rust quite a bit. And I really felt it during that first game. But coming back this year, they called me this year and they said, look, can you meet the team in Raleigh? We need you to do a couple of games in Raleigh and then in Buffalo, and then that's probably going to be it. We just need you to fill for a couple of games. And so I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem, I'll go do it. So I flew to North Carolina, did a game there, then went with them to Buffalo, and it felt a lot easier because I'd done it just last year. And then I was sitting at home, and literally my wife and I had just finished watching the movie Slapshot, which we have seen 500 times. And our dog is named Reggie because of Reggie Dunlop in the movie. And so the movie just ended. I mean, like a minute it had finished, and we're getting up to try to, go do something else. And the phone rings, and it's the Ducks. And they said, look, we need you to go on this next road trip. And I said, okay, fine. And they said they're just giving Steve some time off. And so tomorrow we'll be in Vancouver. I've been to, where have I been already? Denver, Seattle, Calgary, Edmonton, and now Vancouver. And then that should probably be it before I head to spring training with the Dodgers.
Hey, let me ask you this, Tim, because I've worked with you, and of course, I followed your career, whether you're doing basketball or baseball. I mean, you work for the Pirates, you work for Boston, you've been with the Dodgers now since 2019. I know how you go about getting prepared. But knowing that you did this a year ago, did you kind of keep your eye on what was going on with the Ducks this year? Knowing who their new players were, knowing their background, because getting prepared like last year, hey, you got to travel, you got to get prepared for a team that you haven't called. You hadn't called hockey on radio, as you mentioned, for a long period of time. Did you keep your eye on the Ducks early in the year, knowing that you may be coming out of the bullpen again?
Well, I think, yeah, a little bit, because, I think once you have an association with the team at some point in time, you keep an eye on them, because now you have other people that there. You've got personal contacts there. I was interested in the off season to see what they did coaching wise, and the hiring of Joel Quenneville kind of piqued my interest because he's won pretty much everywhere he's gone, and he's won a bunch of Stanley Cups as a head coach. And I mean, I go back to when I was a kid. I remember him playing for the Hartford Whalers, and I'd watch him, and I would watch him against the Boston Bruins all the time as a kid growing up. But I just had some, I wasn't like glued to every game, but I would follow what they were doing. And I'd watched a couple of games ahead of time, and, not knowing that I'd be going back. I didn't think I would be. I just never suspected it. In fact, I was doing college basketball at UNLV. I had done a football game. I'd done a bunch of basketball games over there, filling in for my son, who does the Rebels games, and they would move him to local TV, and they needed somebody to do radio, and they thought it'd be kind of fun if I came in and filled for him, and I thought it'd be fun too. And so I did, and that had just ended. That little run had just ended when the Ducks called me. So for an off season, sometime in September, I'm looking ahead at the off season, and I didn't really have anything going on. I'm thinking, all right, where are we going to go on vacation? Then I got busy, and then I got even busier. So it's just funny how things work out in this business sometimes.
Well, before we get into talking about the Dodgers, first of all, congratulations on your new contract with the Dodgers. That's always kind of nice to put in the rear view mirror. But for a lot of people, we get a lot of Padre fans, obviously, that follow me that, watch it either live or they go back, in the evening and sit and watch. A lot of people have no idea that once upon a time, Tim Neverett called AAA baseball for the Padre organization when they were in Vegas.
I did. Yep. The Las Vegas Stars. Yeah, it was neat because there were some nights if the Padres were off, Bruce Bochy, who was the manager at the time, Kevin Towers, who was the general manager, they'd zip over to Vegas and they'd sit there. That's how you got to know those guys, because they would sit in the booth near us and watch the games. And of course, they're coming over to Vegas too, right? So they figured we'd catch a little baseball and make an excuse out of it. No, but they came for the baseball. But
I'm not sure about that. Knowing those guys, they probably watched a good 5 or 6 innings.
Yeah, but there were some, there's some really good players that came through there at that time, and I remember gosh, I remember Derek Lee, the day he was called up.
Mm.
We were on the road doing a telecast, and Dick Williams, the former manager, and Marty Barrett, former second baseman, who played most of his career with Boston, they were doing color with us on TV and radio when we would televise. And the former Padres producer, and people probably won't remember his name, but Scott Hecht, he would produce the
Oh yeah,
Padres
I
games
worked with Scotty.
on Cox, and then he would come and do our games. So there were a lot of Padre connections, and it was really cool getting to travel with both Dick and Marty. Just the baseball I learned by accident from Dick Williams was incredible. I mean, and a lot of people don't know this either, but Dick would, when he was at the time, he was working as a special advisor for the Yankees, and he would go to the UNLV baseball games, and I was doing AAA and I was doing the college games. And somebody who was very well connected with the university asked Dick if he would sit in on the radio with me, and it turned out to be a regular thing. He would do color with me on the baseball games, and we had Fernando Valenzuela Jr. as our first baseman. Jerry Royce's son was our right fielder. And this was a college team, right? I mean, and so Fernando was at every game. This was just before he went back to working for the Dodgers full time as a Spanish announcer. So, I mean, we had all these big league people around and with connections to the Padres. And everybody thinks of Fernando as a Dodger, but, he did pitch for the Padres too. And it was really, really eye-opening for me as a younger broadcaster to be able to learn from these people and be around these people. And, because I worked for the Dodgers, I think the Padre fans go, oh, yeah, he's a Dodger guy. But, it's better, and we've seen it in recent years, things are better when the Padres are better. Because for a long time, the Dodgers owned the Padres. But now it's a situation where, you never know. And the Padres are very good. And the games are better. The excitement around the games is better. And, the city of San Diego is one of my favorite cities. I love walking around San Diego. I love being downtown, and not just Gaslamp, but I mean, all around downtown. And my wife and I actually will spend time in Ocean Beach. We bring the dog down to Dog Beach. We'll drive down from LA to go to that Dog Beach because it's just really, really good. But we like San Diego a lot, and I like games at San Diego. The stadium's awesome. The atmosphere is awesome. And when the Padres are better, I think overall baseball's better.
Hey, let's take a look at the division right now. And again, you're a sports guy. I mean, you're a broadcaster, but you're always in tune with what's going on. You know every little stat here and there because you never take too many days off. You're always, I'm sure you're already working on your TV broadcast with Rick Monday, and we'll get to that here before too long as well. But how about the division? I think Arizona, they've gotten a little bit better. Padres still have, some questions maybe with their starting rotation. Their bullpen's going to be good. I really don't know what to expect from the Giants and the Rockies. They got a whole new crew coming in. We'll see what they're able to get done. They're really not in play this year. Let's be honest. Now they could be good enough to screw some of the potential wild card teams up maybe down the stretch. But what's your take right now on the division before everybody goes to spring training?
Well, I think, you kind of laid it out there. The Padres should be pretty good. And I think the Diamondbacks, I think, the fact they signed Nolan Arenado are showing that they want to win, and they're competitive. I mean, they're really competitive. I think there's a lot of people that sort of push them off to the side. I know that, the East Coast bias, people out East, they never think of the Arizona Diamondbacks, right? They're just like, oh, that's kind of cool. They have a team. But they're really good. They've got a great general manager, Mike Hazen, who I think who was with me for a year in Boston when I was with the Red Sox, and he's done a good job in keeping that team competitive in a situation where dollars and cents wise, they have to make the most of them. Like teams like Arizona, if they miss on somebody, they can't miss big. They have to miss small, right? They can't make big mistakes. Same with San Diego, although they've gone hard after good players and spent a lot of money on some players, Machado, of course, Tatis, you know, they've got, you know, what's going to happen with you, Darvish here? We don't know. He's thinking of hanging him up. They're thinking of trying to convince him to come back, I guess. It's, you know, just from the outside looking in is what I'm gathering. I think you're right on Colorado. I think they just have to, they've got a whole new regime, but I haven't seen a whole lot of new players yet. And that has been my problem with the Rockies the last few years. I remember this past spring, we had a game with them in Scottsdale, and looked at my lineup card and I said, this is their opening day lineup. And I said, this is the definition of insanity. They just had 2 straight 100-loss seasons. Why would they run the same team out there thinking that things were going to change? And what happened? They were the worst team in baseball. Again, they've had 3 straight 100-loss seasons. This is a team that, you know, went to the World Series in 2007. This is a team that has been in the wild card. This is a team that's been competitive in the division, and they are just running to the ground. And it's a shame because I look at the Colorado market. It's a place, you know, it's Wyoming, it's New Mexico. It's a huge footprint, right? It's Utah.
They draw good.
Yeah, it's a huge footprint they have for television. It's a huge footprint of an area where they draw from. They got a great ballpark. Attendance is not a problem there. They're constantly in the top 10 in attendance, just because it's great to see a game there. But they just haven't had the product. And they have a great player development area down in Arizona that they share with the Diamondbacks. It's probably the best in Arizona, where Arraez and the White Sox is probably, you know, 1A. I just can't figure out why they are doing what they're doing there. And now they've gotten to a point where it's so bad they had to make some changes, but hopefully it works out. And the Giants, I don't know. I mean, what they do, signed Harrison Bader yesterday. How much will that move the needle? We'll wait and see. He's a good player. But is he a great player? That's different. You know, how do you become great? I had a great baseball man tell me, the only way you become great is be really good for a long time. You don't have to be like, you know, Hall of Famer your first year, right? You got to be really good for a long time. And I think that's right. And I don't know if Bader's been really good for a long time yet, but he's a good player. But I'm not sure how much that moves the needle in the division.
All right, let's talk about the Dodgers. Obviously, everybody's going to pick them to win the division. Going away last year, you know, they kind of played around with the division. Every time the Padres got close, Dodgers all of a sudden had win 4 or 5 in a row and ended up winning the division. They played that game like the season, really kind of like spring training. They were just trying to make sure everybody was going to be healthy come October. And the kind of the joke, I think, was, well, the Dodgers, their season really starts on October 1st. And well, I'll tell you what, it kind of turned out that way.
Yeah. Well, look at the pitching, right? Look how much time off they gave Tyler Glasnow. Look how much time off they gave Blake Snell. Look how much time off they gave Roki Sasaki. They really slow played Ohtani pitching. I mean, it was spring training for him, literally pitching. His first outing, you know, that's an inning. And then the next one, it's like 2 innings, 30 pitches. I mean, it was just like getting a guy ready to go for spring training, but they were doing it in the regular season. And, you know, he ends up being really good again. You know, and this year, the plan is for him to start right from the beginning. Same thing with Sasaki. I would anticipate that sometime during the season, and this happens with most teams, but sometime during the season, somebody's going to get put on the shelf for a few weeks, maybe a month. And as long as they're back by September and pitching in games, getting ready for October, that's going to be good. The pitching depth in the organization right now is crazy.
You know,
really good.
you know, I want to ask you about this because I'm a guy grew up around baseball. I coached at a very high level, coached a lot of guys that played professional baseball, and development has always been fundamental. That's been my game. Okay, I believe you win. You don't have to have blue chip players. You got to have guys that are willing to show up every day, give you what they got on that given day, and play fundamentally sound ball. And I'll bring up the Dodger farm system. And I saw last week MLB.com, the pipeline that puts out ratings. They had the Dodgers
Yeah.
#1, and people say, well, you know, the Dodgers, they got more money, they eat better, their training's better. All that's probably true, But the bottom line, they're normally, and I know they lose draft picks because they sign free agents. They're not drafting real high in the first round, year in and year out, but they're still finding a way to develop players. I don't think anybody really gives them the credit for doing that because everybody hates the Dodgers.
It's hard. It's really hard to win and develop, right? Usually, if you're winning, you're not getting the higher draft picks. So it's harder to develop you're not getting the best players to develop. And if you're losing, you're getting the higher picks. So typically you're going to show up with the better prospects, right? And then they become trade bait for you to get better at some point in time. The Dodgers somehow, some way, have been able to do both. They've been able to find, they've got good scouting. They've got really good development in the minor leagues. The players, the nutrition program they have in the minor leagues is incredible. In AAA, they have somebody that travels, with the AAA club that I know about. And they also have their physical setup, their weights and the things that they use specifically. They travel them ahead. They'll set them up in the AAA city, and these guys have basically their own gym to work out in. I mean, that's unheard of in the minor leagues, right? But they, like I said, the player development area in Arizona at Camelback Ranch is really, really good. They continue to add to it, and the more a team wins, the more revenue opportunities there are, and the more they put back into the organization. In terms of building hitting complexes and building this thing and building this nutrition thing, and with what they've done underneath, you can't see it at Dodger Stadium, but with what they've done underneath. For player development and player, I guess player happiness. It's incredible. The new clubhouse, kitchen, the sleep rooms. Coach, when you were coaching, did you ever think you had to have, special rooms with certain lighting just to sleep in, to get a little nap in? And they got them, right? I mean, a lot of teams have them now, but the Dodgers have brand new ones that they had new last year that were further away from the hitting cage because they didn't like them how close they were to the hitting cages because you could hear the hitting. But any kind of amenity that the Dodgers can provide, they provide, including the fact that we travel with 2 planes instead of 1. We have 1 plane just for the players and another plane for the staff. And, so Dave Roberts and the coaches and the broadcasters and trainers and, TV production people, we're all on 1 plane while the players are on another. And our team comes in as rested as possible. Sometimes the players will leave ahead of us. Sometimes they'll leave the day before or the night after a game or whatever. And they've got a schedule that is second to none in terms of travel and rest. So there's so much, behind the curtain that the Dodgers do because they can afford it and they feel that it's necessary to, and the things they do for players' families. That's why you get a guy like a Kyle Tucker signing a shorter term deal that he was offered elsewhere. That's why you get, people like that want to sign with the Dodgers because the families are taken care of like they're, part of the team, and they're treated that way. They get a lot of amenities too. So they've taken this whole thing, and I think Dave Roberts has been at the head of it. He wants it to be a family environment. He knows how much time you spend away from home, and he wants the wives and the kids around, and they're around, and they're there, and the players are happier as a result.
Well, I didn't know about that plane thing. That's crazy.
Yeah. Last year they started it two playoffs ago. They wanted it. And then last year during the regular season, it was all year. And I would anticipate it's going to be again this year. So, there's a lot of empty seats on our plane, which is, it's kind of nice in one respect, but it works out very well for everybody who's traveling. And it was a story last year at the beginning of the year. It was, newspapers started to write about it and people started to talk about it, but I'm wondering if there's another team that does that at some point in time. I don't know that you need to. I've traveled with a lot of teams. I don't know that you have to do it, but the Dodgers elect to do it. And hey, they won another World Series. They've won 2 World Series in a row. using two planes. If that's the secret sauce, then maybe it is. So that's why I would expect our travel is great. I mean, our director of team travel, Scott Akasaki, he's the best I've been around. He's unbelievable. And the number of people that he has to deal with in terms of traveling and all the moving parts and pieces. And it's remarkable the job that he does.
Hey, how many World Series rings do you have now? 4?
Yeah, I've got 4 now. Yeah.
One
Yeah.
with Boston, and then 3 with the Dodgers.
Yeah. The third one with the Dodgers, I should get late March. We've already been measured for him and everything. So yeah, you know what size you're getting and all that. And yeah, it'll be, it's Mookie Betts and I have the same collection. So I'm proud of that, I've been around him long enough where we've won at the same times.
Isn't it amazing what he was able to accomplish last year at shortstop?
Fascinating. But to me, not surprising, having been around him as long as I have. When we were with Boston, when I first got to Boston, I noticed right away, before games, he was out taking ground balls at short and third, second base. And John Farrell was the manager at the time. And during one of my radio pregame shows with him, I said, John, I noticed Mookie Betts, who's going to be a perennial all-star right fielder. He wasn't the MVP yet. He wasn't that guy yet. He was still a young player. And I said, I noticed that he takes ground balls in the infield just about every day. And I said, do you have plans to use him there? Is that why he does this? He said, no. He said he wants to stay engaged. He wants to use different muscle memory. He wants to work out that way. But he would do it every day. And then the Red Sox did use him a couple of times when they would there'd be a game on the line and they'd bring in a 5-man infield. They'd bring him in from right field and have him play over second base. And they had a 5-man infield. They did it a couple of different times, but that was it. I think he did play a few games at second base. He would come in and, when they had to move guys around, they would move him to second base, get somebody else in the outfield. Didn't happen very often. I mean, rarely. And then he started getting some starts at second base with the Dodgers. And then they just finally said, look, we can't argue with him anymore. We don't need to go out and get a shortstop on the free agent market. We don't have, somebody from the organization. We're going to move into that spot, a young player. He's our best athlete. Let's throw him out there and see what happens. And I mean, he played shortstop at a Gold Glove level. Who does that, right? You win a bunch of Gold Gloves. You won 6 Gold Gloves in right field. And he comes in and plays at that high a level at shortstop. Are you kidding me? I mean, we saw, Fernando Tatis Jr. go from shortstop to right field. That's usually how it goes. It doesn't go the other way around. And both are great players, but I mean, to see him do this and to see him work at it and to see him out there every day, a guy who probably could have taken an afternoon off, didn't have to be out there at 2:00 in the afternoon before a 7:00 game, taking 100 ground balls, but that's what he does. And he does it every day. And that's how he got better.
I think a lot of people are not aware of it. You are, I think people that are in the know. I mean, he went and spent part of the last winter down in Texas with Troy Tulowitzki, the great shortstop from Colorado, who's an assistant coach at University of Texas now. And they would work out at like really, really odd hours and just work on his footwork, how to charge a ground ball properly, what your footwork is, what you want to do when you receive the ball, what kind of body position. I mean, little things that do make a difference. And a lot of people don't really notice, but a lot of players take for granted, quite frankly.
I saw Tulo play a lot in Colorado. And I've had this conversation with Mookie, and there's a little sidebar about it that no one knows about. But when I watch him charge a ground ball and throw on the run, it's a mini Tulo. And Tulowitzki was talking about also, like, on that particular play, when you're charging the ball, you got to always keep your feet moving, right? So when you charge the ball, it's about the touch throw. It's about not having to wind up and explode through your shoulder. It's just like you shorten the distance between yourself and first base, and you make more of a touch throw. And he can make this leaping throw too, and it looks just like Tulowitzki. And I asked Mookie about doing that, and he goes, "Yeah, but he asked me to help his son with hitting. So I was happy to return the favor. So he gave his son, he was working with his kid on hitting. Not that Tulo can't, but again, as a son, you tune out your dad after a while. So you got to hear it from somebody else. And that's the case. And, Tulo works with a great guy down there in Jim Schlossnagle, who's the head coach at Texas, who's been a friend of mine for a long time. And he's going to do great things, I think, at Texas. But, yeah, that was the thing. I mean, working with Troy Tulowitzki, I think, helped him immensely. And I see it when I watch Mookie take ground balls in the afternoon. I see him working on the same things that Tulowitzki did years ago.
Well, I can remember Tulowitzki. He was great at backhanding that ball in the hole and making that jump throw over to first. And you mentioned on the run. I mean, he's one of the best ever, probably fielding that slow bounder in the infield, coming and getting it from deep shortstop. Okay, give me an update on Tommy Edman. What do we know about him coming off ankle surgery? Is he going to be limited in the spring? Going to be ready for opening day? What do you know right now?
I think the goal is to have him ready by opening day. Opening day of spring training is February 21st, and nobody cares about that day for Tommy Edman. They're just like, don't worry about it, Tommy. I think he's going to start later, from what I understand. I mean, he'll be there. He'll be, doing his stuff. He'll have less time to prepare. But it's funny because I just talked to him, during the season, and I'd say, "How's the ankle?" Good. It's feeling good. Like, he never tell you it's sore or bothered him. Or
he was hurt all year.
Yeah, he was. You realize it after the fact, and it's funny because you've been around the game a long time, and we see the same things after a while. Guys that say, no problem, I'm okay. My hand's okay. My elbow's fine. My ankle's fine. My knee's okay. Yeah, no big deal. And then come October 2nd, they're putting a picture of themselves on Instagram from the hospital bed, right? Because they get surgery. So you know who's going to get it. You know who's going to get it and who's not. But I wasn't surprised that they wanted to get him surgically repaired. But I think he'll be fine. And again, it's not about the end of March. It's about as the season goes along, how are you going to help out? They've got some cover at second base for a little while. The fact that he can play center field as well as he does too helps out. Andy Pages will be out there. Kyle Tucker's going to be in right. They're going to put Tasker Hernandez over in left, where he was 2 years ago. I think the outfield's okay. I think they're going to be fine. And then when you have to move some guys around, I mean, Dave Roberts has a chessboard in front of him, and he's got to manage the players. He's got to. I hate to use the words load management. I'd steal that from the NBA, but hey, teams do that now. It's not like you get the same lineup thrown up on the board every day like it was in the 70s and sometimes in the 80s, where you went to the ballpark, you knew you were playing, you knew where you were playing, you knew you were batting in the order. But you got to have guys getting at bats. You got to have all the guys on the bench getting at bats. Otherwise, they're not going to be fresh. And but I think Tommy's going to be okay. I think, he'll probably get slow played at the beginning. And the Dodgers do err on the side of caution when it comes to player injuries and returns. They out of an abundance of caution, they take their time because they feel they have people to fill those holes.
Well, they can bring guys up from the JV. I mean, it's like unbelievable, Pages better never pay for a meal or a drink in Los Angeles again. I'm still amazed. When that ball was hit over Kike's head, I figured the World Series was over.
So did Kike.
He runs over Kike to make a catch that a wide receiver in the NFL would be proud of. That was an amazing catch. And I guess the question would be, when does Kike Hernandez, when does he re-sign with the Dodgers at some point?
Well, I think he'd like to know that too. But you talk about that play in Toronto. When I saw the ball hit, I'm thinking, oh no, this World Series could be over right now.
I thought it was.
And then Kike, I thought, might have had a chance to maybe make a crazy catch.
Willie Mays style.
And then all of a sudden, he gets plowed over. And here comes Pages out of nowhere to make the catch. When Kike got hit, he said that when he felt contact, he thought the series was over because he went down and he got up and he's like, oh man, he saw Pages and Pages goes, I got it. he was more in disbelief than any of the fans sitting there at Rogers Center.
And he had just come into the game, correct?
Yeah. Paez did, yeah.
Yeah.
David just put him in the game. And he made that incredible catch. But that game 7, each team won and lost the World Series probably like 5 times. Right?
It was a great World Series.
It was an unbelievable World Series. And game 7 was incredible. And who would have thought that it was Miguel Rojas to bring the power back? I mean, never in a million years would you think Miguel Rojas was going to be the guy to tie it up in the 9th with a home run. But, he'll forever go down in Dodger history with one of the great postseason home runs.
How about that play at second base where he righted himself? He was off balance, righted himself, and then Will Smith able to, keep his toe barely on the plate, but just to be able to throw that runner out. And then they went back and, broke down the runner. He didn't do this or he didn't do that. You know what? At the end of the day, that was just a hell of a baseball play.
A great baseball play. I mean, it's a World Series that'll, it's going to go down in the annals of history, especially the Game 7 as being one of the greatest of all time. And people are going to measure it and they're going to say, it's the greatest Game 7 ever. It may have been. There were some other good Game 7s too. But it was incredible. It was an incredible way to finish it off. I mean, hats off to Toronto. I mean, they did everything they could. They were well managed. They played the game well. They pitched well. They defended well. They hit well. They did everything that they had to do in order to win a World Series. But it comes down to like a fraction of an inch on that play at the plate with Will Smith. It comes down to that catch in left field. I mean, it comes down to the broken bat double play ball. And of all people, Alejandro Kirk hits into it. If it's somebody else, they might have beat the play out. Unfortunately, Alejandro doesn't run as well as his teammates. It's just one of those things. And you mentioned that play at second base by Rojas. A backhanded short hop, and he got his foot on the bag, too. I mean, it was just a throw that handcuffs most guys. And he makes the catch, and you get the guy out. Double play is just fabulous. It creates a lot of great memories, and now as we get to the month of February, we're going to be back to games before you know it.
Hey Timmy, just a couple of quick questions because I want you to get ready for the Anaheim Ducks organization. They got their big game tomorrow night up there in Vancouver. Freddie Freeman. Okay, I'm an outsider looking in. I'm saying, you know what? Freddie's getting up there in years. Freddie wants to play every day, but you know what? You got the ability to give him some time off. I'd like to see, I guess if I was a Dodger fan, I'd like to find out more about Dalton rushing behind the plate. Will Smith obviously is not going to take a day off and be the DH because of Ohtani. Could we see Will Smith play a little first base for the Dodgers this year?
I think that could be something down the line. That's been something that's been chatted about. The thing about Freddie is Freddie wants to play every day. And as long as he's physically able to, he's going to be in the lineup. Even if he's, in a period where he's not hitting well, just having Freeman in the lineup still poses problems for teams. How to pitch to him, whatever. I mean, then you never know. He's going to hit it.
Oh, when you see him in the on-deck circle, you're concerned.
Yeah, you're concerned, and late in the game, your bullpen's going to get up. You're going to get a lefty up, right? I mean, it changes the game because you don't know when he's going to break out of it. You don't, but it's not that he's in a slump all the time, but it's just in the event that he is in one. But he wants to be in the lineup every day as long as he's healthy. At some point in time, the Dodgers are going to have to play somebody else at first base to get him reps. I know that we had Kike Hernandez over there last year a couple of different times. Will Smith, at some point in time, he's got what does he got? 10 years left in his deal, 9 or 10 years left. That's a long time in baseball years, right? So at some point in time, he's going to probably get some reps over there at first base. Dalton Rushing did play a little first base for us last year. He had a few innings over there at first base. They wanted to get his bat in the lineup in a couple of games to get Freddie out. Because depending on the score late in the game, sometimes you're going to see Freddie get out. Sometimes you're going to see Mookie come out of the ball game. Ohtani likes his at bats, and he kind of dictates that. So he's gonna stay in there and hit. But it wouldn't surprise me at some point in time, knock on wood, that Ohtani's healthy the whole year, that maybe he doesn't DH one game after he pitches. let's say. Let's say he pitches and hits, and then it's a scheduled day off at some point in time. Maybe Will Smith is in the DH spot and rushing catches, or maybe somebody else is going to do that. But it wouldn't surprise me this year to see that scenario, because I think if Ohtani pitches the whole year, he'll tell Dave, no, I'm good to DH the next day. I'm fine. He'll tell him I'm good to go. But there might come a time where they're going to say, Show, we want you to just take one day, and we'll tell everybody that you're going to take the day off, because there's a big media contingent that follows his every move. So, the Dodgers are cognizant of that too. If he plays 162, I'd be shocked. Even though
he's always got the ability. He's getting that day off, but in his mind he wants to play, so he'll always be kind of lurking in that Dodger dugout in the late innings to maybe get that at bat.
Yeah, and, you got to appreciate him too, because we've seen guys, rake. We've seen guys just absolutely demolish baseballs and hit it hard. I have never, ever seen a guy as consistently hit the ball as hard as him. I mean, his hard hit rate is out of this world. And a lot of times when you see contact, that ball's going 450 or more. I mean, he hits balls, Coach, to the opposite field that have no business going out. He's that strong. He could be the strongest player in baseball. He might not look it to you when you watch him
He's
on
a
TV,
big dude, though, man.
standing.
His shoulders are so wide. I stood next to him when he was with the Angels when they came to San Diego. I mean, he's a massive human being.
He is, and you don't think so. Like when you first see him on television or whatever, but when you stand next to him, he's huge, and he stands up there, that tall stance, and he gets to the ball.
You got that down pretty good, by the way.
I've seen it a few times, but he gets to the ball. It's short. It's like anybody else, like short to it, long through it, right? But when he gets to the ball, he just annihilates it, and more consistently than anybody I've ever seen. One of the farthest balls I've ever seen hit at Dodger Stadium, Fernando Tatis Jr. hit the ball on the roof in left field. Amazing. Ohtani doesn't hit it on the roof. He hits it past the roof, like under the roof. I saw him hit one under the roof. I mean, you think about the line drive and the strength you need to put one under the roof of the pavilion at Dodger Stadium and over that section and out beyond the ballpark. Nobody does that.
Unbelievable. Hey, real quick, comment on Kyle Tucker, comment on Edwin Diaz.
Obvious. I mean, the obvious, right? I'll be Captain Obvious. Great pickups. Having Kyle be comfortable in right field, having him hit second or third in the lineup is going to be a real cool thing. Our lineup's going to look a little different. It's going to be longer, deeper. And at the end of games, to have a true closer. I mean, we've had guys who can come out and close games in the past, but we never had like somebody since Kenley Jansen, that you are closing the game. Now we've got, the guy who is going to come out, and I think Padres fans are going to get tired of hearing Timmy Trumpet play at the end of games at Dodger Stadium, as we did when we went to play the Mets when he was there. But this guy is a bona fide closer. He shortens the game. And again, it's just adding on to what they already have. And I just think it's going to be a crazy good year again. And 100 wins, everybody's going to say, oh, they should win 100 games. It's not always the way it goes, but with the lineup, and other teams are giving you their best shot every night. And I always maintain, hey, those guys over there in that other dugout, they practice too.
Right, exactly.
Okay? They're ready. These are professionals too. These guys are big league hitters also. And the way the game can go on any night, you never know. I mean, a little dribbler can beat you, late inning home run can beat you. You can get blown out some games. Other games, you're going to blow them out. That's just the way it goes over 162. But the Dodgers are going to win their share. I can't tell you how many, but they've put together a roster that's pretty envious to other teams.
Okay, now I'm a baseball fan. Okay, and I've got a friendship with you. Padres don't do a lot of spring training. Orsillo and Mark Grant. I was talking to Mark Grant the other day, and I go, hey, when you going down there? He goes, well, we're not going to be down there that much. We're only doing a couple of games, but we'll get some more Padre games. The visiting team, whether it's Milwaukee or Dodgers, they'll pick those up on the MLB network or the Padre station. But the Dodgers, you guys do every game.
Yeah.
And you do, I think, all of them during spring training with Rick Monday. And being a baseball fan, I absolutely love it because you guys attack it a little bit different than a lot of the broadcasts. Everybody comes on, they're excited. It's the start of the year. But you and Rick are always prepared. I mean, Rick Monday prepares like he's still playing 162 when he comes in that broadcast booth, doesn't he?
He does. There's a guy who could mail it in if he wanted to, right? But he doesn't. He comes in prepared every game. Spring training, regular season, postseason, doesn't matter.
Takes it serious.
He does. He's ready to go. I mean, he'll show up and he'll open his scorebook and he's got notes in there that he's written from, the morning on. Like he'll wake up and it's about getting ready for that day's game. And in spring training, we have a lot of players that we deal with, right? And I don't think it's right. And I know Rick agrees with this, but I don't think it's right that, we're doing a spring training telecast and it's the 8th inning and number 98 comes off the bench with no name on the back and he gets the pinch run. And we go, oh, this is, minor league guy. No, I mean, he's a professional also. This guy's getting paid to play. He was good enough. He's drafted. He's in the system.
And his family's watching.
His family's watching. His friends are watching. It's a big deal. When they get called over from minor league camp, the first call is to the family. Hey, I'm going to be over the big league game today. Make sure you're watching because I don't know if I'm going to get in, when I'm going to get in, but I'm going to get in today. Wearing a Dodger uniform, playing in the A game, right? So it's important to those guys. It's important to the players that are going to be in AA or AAA that might even start a game or be the guys that are regulars that come in the 5th inning that are going to be part of a AAA club, that are 40-man roster guys, that are non-roster invites that have big league time with other teams. It's important that you prepare for everybody. And I guarantee Rick and I will do this. February 21, we play the Angels in Tempe. We already know the deal. Okay. We'll have 9 pitchers at least, right? One an inning. They'll have 9 pitchers. So that's 18. There'll be, it's just a matter of how many over 50 will get into that game. So the first couple of games in early February, like there are early games, there's always 50 or so players that get into the game. We know it. We understand the deal. We know all the nuances of spring training. We know why the closer comes in the 5th inning. Because a lot of fans will always ask that question. Why is the closer in the 5th inning? Well, that's because the major leaguers are still in the lineup. They're not going to be in there in the 6th inning. So you want your closer, who's going to throw 1 inning anyway, to throw against big league pitching. That's why you do that. So all the little things about spring training, why you carry so many catchers late in spring training, just little things. We all know them and we talk about them. And, I'll get Rick to tell stories about, especially when we play the Cubs or the A's, his former teams, and the Dodgers, obviously. So, if it's a really funny day or, a day where nothing's going on the field, I might bring up Tommy Lasorda and then that'll take us to the end of the process. So, but we do a lot of prep. We have a lot of things prepared. I actually have to enlist the help of my son and somebody else to help me get ready because there's so many players that we have to get ready for in spring training that it's really hard to do it all on my own. And I'm a little behind because of the hockey assignment right now. So I've got one more game with the Ducks tomorrow, and then it's 100% baseball after that.
Well, I kept you way too long today. Hopefully you have kind of an off day. I know you'll get prepared for the game. I don't know if they're probably not practicing today. Maybe tomorrow a morning skate that you can check out. But enjoy your day in Vancouver, and we'll catch up with you before too long.
Well, it was great to see you at the luncheon recently. And my question for you is, how long did it take you to get back to San Diego after that?
3 hours. 3 hours.
I figured that because I only had to go to downtown LA, and I was thinking about you going, man, how long is this drive going to be?
Yeah, I had spent the night in Brea, and I thought, I'm 35, 40 minutes. That took 2 hours to get from Brea to the country club. And then from the country club back to San Diego, it took me 3. So I got to spend 5 hours in the car that day. But hey, you know what? It was worth it to see the great Tim Neverett.
Oh, that's not why you went. You went to see the great Steve Hartman. I know that. So that was great. He was great.
Hey, be well, my friend, and safe travels. And we'll catch up with you sometime in spring training.
All right, Coach. Sounds good. Anytime. Happy to be with you any day.
There you go. One of the really, really good guys in the broadcasting world. I hope you enjoyed that. Man, I didn't realize the Dodgers take 2 planes. That's unheard of. I did not know that. That's amazing to me. And their sleep situation, golly, Moses. That's a big advantage. Absolutely big advantage. Okay, I want to get some Padres stuff. Now I want to get out to some live coaches crew questions. We're going to go past 10 o'clock today, a few minutes, but I got some questions for you. Number one, Luis Arraez. Luis Arraez is still out on the market. And every day that he's out on the market right now, the price is going down. And I really spent a lot of time yesterday as I was getting ready. I got a basketball game tomorrow night. UC San Diego playing UC Santa Barbara. And I spent a lot of time this week preparing for that basketball game. But I started digging around yesterday on Luis Arraez. And you know what? I don't know. I don't think he's going to get a long-term contract. He may get a 2 or 3 year contract, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near for the money that he was anticipating. And, the Padres right now, they got Gavin Sheets that can play first. I don't know if there's somebody else out there that are looking to sign right now. I mentioned the other day, AJ's been over in Japan. He went over to Japan last weekend. I would imagine he's probably back now, but I don't know for sure. But Luis Arraez, I could live with it if it's a fair price. The other 2 teams, and I'll tell you where I think he ought to go. One of the teams I know that's interested is Miami, and he's played for Miami. He was with Miami when he got traded to San Diego and won the batting title a couple of years ago, a combination being a Marlin and a Padre. Miami is probably interested in him a little bit. But I'm going to tell you where I think he should go. I think he should go to the Colorado Rockies. And you'd say, why would he want to go to the Colorado Rockies? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, their first baseman's 28 years of age. He's a guy that nobody really knows. Blaine Krim hit 265 at bats. Those were his only at bats at the big league level. Got a little power, hit 5 home runs in 65 at bats. But Luis Arraez would be a great guy for a variety of reasons in Colorado. Number one, the spacious ballpark, the gaps. Everybody talks about his lack of power. Well, that may be true. And it is true when you look at his numbers. He's not going to hit a lot of home runs. He'll hit some doubles because he'll hit the ball down the line. He'll hit some balls in the gap. Go to Colorado. It's a big outfield. If he goes to Colorado, he probably wins the National League batting title again. And he can help him at first base. But where Luis Arraez can help that ball club more than anything else is leadership. Good guy, hardworking guy. We've talked about it. He shows up every day to the ballpark trying to get better. He's a below average second baseman. He's working his way towards average at first base, but he's a worker. And I don't know if Colorado's interested. I don't know if the Padres are interested. I think the Marlins are interested. I don't think he's going to get a long-term deal. I think they were kind of hoping that, he'd get like a 3-year, $60 million deal. Wasn't going to happen. Wasn't going to happen. He made $14 million last year. He'll be lucky to get $14 million this year with whoever he signs with. But Luis Arraez is a good guy and a guy that can hit. And a team that values hitting over all the analytical parts, they had to sign him. That's my take on that. Now, everybody, I was listening to John Heyman. I listened to a bunch of guys yesterday talking about Verlander and Scherzer. Well, for me, and I know Scherzer started Game 7 for Toronto. He didn't have a good year last year, and there's talk that he may not sign until after the season starts. That's probably a good thing. Keep working out. Save all your bullets. He's getting up there in years. But I would rather sign Justin Verlander, and I'll tell you why. Last year, Verlander was absolutely awful with the Giants the first 16 games. Went 0-8 with a 4.99 ERA and 79 in the third innings, and batters hit 288 against him. All of a sudden, something happened. He became a different pitcher. I don't know what it was, but in his last 11 starts, he went 4-3 with a 2.60 ERA, 72 and two-thirds innings, and batters hit 228. So if you sign Justin Verlander, and you're not going to break the bank to sign, he wants to sign. Nobody signed him. He could go back to Detroit, could go back to Houston. But I would sign Verlander if the price is right over Scherzer. And I'm not saying you sign Verlander, but I'm saying if you're looking for a starter, you have to evaluate what he did analytically. What do your people say about him? Scherzer last year, 17 starts with Toronto, had a 5.19 ERA, but he did pitch well in the playoffs, but he didn't go real deep. So that's my take on that. If you're going to sign one of those guys, I think I would lean towards Justin Verlander. What do you think? Okay, let's get to some questions, and I want to get into Bill Belichick a little bit. What do we got question-wise today here? Oh man, baseball. Talking to Timmy, talking about the division. Oh man, I'm fired up. I can't wait. Coach, thank you for having Tim Neverett on as a Dodgers fan. I love listening to him. He's great. Love your show. Can't wait for spring training. Isabel, thank you very much. I'm glad you appreciate that. Hey, you know what? A guy like Tim Neverett, I don't care what team he broadcasts for. He's a good sports guy. He's a friend of mine. We're going to talk about the division a little bit. And I thought that was good. It was a good interview. We talked a little bit about the Dodgers, obviously, but we talked about the division. We talked a little bit about the Padres, about his background. Tim's a great broadcaster. And the thing that I love about Timmy, and I've had a couple of interesting go rounds with him, and we didn't get into it today, and ha ha, he he. But Isabel, thank you very much. Uh, Once upon a time, we did the International Basketball League, Professional Basketball League, and that's where I met Tim. He was a play-by-play guy. I was a color guy for their national game of the week. And he called me up one time and goes, "Hey, I need you to fly to Vegas to do a game." So I go over to Vegas and I do this game. And I never charged him for it. Went to Vegas, put me up in a hotel, nice hotel, took good care of me. I didn't have to worry about driving here, driving there, had a car for me. And I got home. I told my wife, you know what? I'm not even going to charge Tim for doing that game. I go, he treated me so well. I needed to bail him out. But here's a great one. This is one of the funniest stories you'll ever hear about a broadcaster. In 2008, Joe Totino and I, we were on 1090, and we were going over to Las Vegas for the Manny Pacquiao Juan Manuel Marquez fight. It was the third time they were going to fight, and it was going to be on Saturday night. And then I was heading to spring training the next day to be with the Padres. So we fly over Thursday night. We do a show, and man, I'll never forget that show. We had Harold Letterman on, we had Larry Merchant on, we had the late Burt Sugar, who was a good guy, big boxing guy, great guy. And I was so fired up. We had a great show. So we go back to the hotel. We're staying at the Mandalay Bay. And I told Joe, I go, hey, I'm going to go out to Thomas and Mack tonight. I go, the Aztecs are playing BYU and Utah's playing UNLV. I want to go watch the basketball tournament. So he goes, I'm going to stay at the hotel and we'll go to the fight tomorrow night. Okay. So I pay $20 to take a cab out to Thomas and Mack from the Mandalay Bay. So I get in there and I'm walking around. I'm wearing a pair of shorts, a pullover, and, tennis shoes. And I'm watching the first half, and BYU just killing San Diego State. They ended up blowing them out. But halfway through the game, gets to halftime, and I'm sitting up in the stands, and Tim Neverett comes up. He goes, hey, I need you to call the next game. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, no, coach, I need you to broadcast on radio with a guy from ESPN Las Vegas, their program director. He's going to do the play-by-play. I need you to do the color. I go, Tim, you got to be kidding. I go, you know how I prepare for games. I'm not prepared to do this game. He goes, no, I really need a favor. He goes, the TV guy got sick. I got to move the radio guy to TV, and I need a color analyst. So I go, okay, I'll do it. So he goes, I don't have a lot of money to pay you for it. I go, you know what? You're going to pay me. You're going to drive me back to the hotel and save me $20. So I go in to the media room, and luckily I'd had UNLV earlier in the year here in San Diego. They played USD, and I did the game on television. So And I knew a lot about Utah. And so I went into the media room, got all the game notes, got a pen, started writing stuff down. And I knew more than I let on. Let's put it that way. And so we do this game. And I felt kind of weird because I had a pullover on, I had shorts, I dressed like a fan, like I'm walking through Del Mar or something. And so I do the game with this guy named Mitch, and the game's over. All of a sudden, I'm interviewing Curtis Terry, the star from UNLV, and then Lon Kruger, their coach. I'm interviewing these guys. And I'd gone to the game as a fan, and I turned into being the color analyst of the broadcast. It was unbelievable. It was because of Tim Neverett. He pulled me out of the stands to broadcast the game in the Mountain West Conference tournament. How cool is that? What a great story that is, huh? Okay, what other questions we got today? Coach, what do you expect out of Roki Sasaki this year? We went a long time with Tim, and we'll get him on again during spring training. We'll have him throughout the course of the year. Um, that's a great question. I really don't know. I mean, I thought he looked great out of the bullpen. Um, Man, think about that bullpen. They'll get Vesia back, and man, that was a tough situation for him and his wife and family, losing that baby. Um, Tanner Scott's got to be better. He can't be any worse. And they got him for another 3 years. They bring in Edwin Diaz. They've got Sasaki that I would think would work out of the bullpen. Maybe they want to make him a starter. Man, I'll tell you what. Could you imagine if they really got it going? They'd have Vesia, Sasaki, Tanner Scott if he gets back to what he was with the Padres and Marlins, and then they hit him with Edwin Diaz. Holy Toledo. And, Blake Trinan's going to come back. I don't know if Blake Trinan's got it anymore. I talked to pro scouts, and I think the batters kind of told us during the postseason and even during the regular season, Blake Trinan really doesn't have it any longer. I saw Kirby Yates signed a 1-year deal with the Angels, but as far as Sasaki, I don't know how they're going to go about it. They'll probably throw him in the starting rotation. They want to get their money's worth out of him. But it wouldn't surprise me if they maybe started him in the bullpen to limit his innings. He's still so young. You don't want to overpitch that guy. That's my take on that. Okay, what else we got here? But I noticed these shows have been going long. We got a lot of information to get out. Would signing Arraez hinder Gavin Sheets' rhythm, staying ready when needed, or be better allowing him to DH? If financially responsible, sign Leg Gadera. I think Gavin Sheets, after Laureano came over, there for a while, they kind of had a hard time figuring out what to do with Sheets. Sheets has earned a starting spot, in my opinion. And whether it's at first base or DH, I mean, right now they don't really have a DH. If Sheets is playing first base, they don't have a DH. So they got to figure that out. So signing Arraez, I don't think is going to hinder Gavin Sheets. I mean, you're not going to run Laureano out there every day. You're going to give him a day off occasionally. So signing Arraez, I'm fine with. I like Arraez. I have no problem with Luis Arraez. He's not going to embarrass himself, and when he comes up in the late innings, he's more than likely going to put the ball in play and not strike out against some of these good relief pitchers. That's my take on that. Okay, what else we got here? Okay, Bill Belichick. What a joke. What an absolute joke. Bill Belichick did not get in on his first opportunity for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's 50 voters. That means he needed to get 40 out of the 50 votes, 80%, and he didn't get it. That is a complete and utter embarrassment for the voters of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't care if you voted for him. It's still a mockery. It's a mockery. At least 11 people didn't vote for Bill Belichick. I don't care what Bill Belichick did to you. I don't care if he didn't answer your question. I don't care if he urinated on your tires in the parking lot. You got to vote for Bill Belichick. This really is a complete and utter embarrassment for the Pro Football Hall of Fame and for the pro football writers that were on that committee. And I know some guys on that committee. John McClain from Houston, I know he's completely appalled today. I would imagine Clark Judge, our old buddy that I had on my radio program all the time. I'm sure Clark, who covered Belichick, I'm sure he voted for, and I'm sure he's not happy. They lost so much credibility when that came out last night. I mean, seriously, Belichick has won 8 Super Bowls. I don't need to go through everything he's done. He's won 8 Super Bowls, 6 as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator of the New York Giants. He's won 333 games, lost 178. A 302 and 165 regular season, a 31 and 13 playoff record. Amazing. Now let me ask you this. And they'd say, well, they're punishing him because of Spygate and Deflategate. You know what? This is Votergate. This is Votergate. The bottom line, there should never, ever, ever be an NFL head coach voted in to the Pro Football Hall of Fame on their first ballot if they didn't vote Bill Belichick in on the first ballot. What are they going to do when Tom Brady's eligible? What are they going to do when Tom Brady's eligible? They going to punish him for a year or two because of Spygate and Deflategate? This was so embarrassing. This is such a bad look for the pro football writers that are on that committee. It's such a bad look for the National Football League beyond belief. I mean, I saw some comments last night from Jimmy Johnson, who's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that doesn't even have a third of the wins that Bill Belichick has, but he won 2 Super Bowls. He finally got in, and he goes, I'd like to know who the a-holes were that didn't vote for Bill Belichick. They should have guts enough to come out and say who they were. I mean, just awful, just absolutely terrible. I mean, we can talk about baseball Hall of Fame all we want, Bonds and Sosa and McGuire and, whoever else, Gary Sheffield. And, baseball's a little bit different. And some of those guys did fail drug tests, even though Bonds didn't. Some guys showed up in the Mitchell report and all that. Baseball's completely different. But when it comes to Bill Belichick, I don't care what he did. Okay, I don't really care what he did to the media. I don't care if he didn't answer your questions or stole your girlfriend. I don't really care. You got to vote on a guy what he got done, and he's as good as anybody that's ever done it. Probably better than everybody's done it. I know Don Shula still holds the record for the most wins, but this guy's won a lot more Super Bowls than Don Shula. Won a lot of Super Bowls, man. 6 Super Bowls and 8 in all. The impact this guy's had on the National Football League, embarrassing, bad look. And I can't wait to see as the day goes on and more people come out and say who they voted for. And how about Bill Polian, who, spent a lot of time in the NFL with Buffalo and Indianapolis. There was a story he told everybody, you know what, we need to penalize Belichick for Spygate. And then, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Well, Bill, did you vote for Bill Belichick? Well, I can't really remember. I think 95%, I think I did. And then later he came out, yeah, I did. How can you not know whether or not you voted for Bill Belichick or not? I vote on the All-CIF team every year for football, and there's a hell of a lot more guys that are on the board for All-CIF in San Diego than there are in the National Football League for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But you're going to know whether or not you voted for Bill Belichick, for crying out loud. What Bill Polian, he's lying. And I hate to call him out, but man, that's just a bad look for him, and it's a bad look for even the guys that voted for Belichick. He should have been an absolute slam dunk. So I had to get that off my chest. Okay, real quickly, college basketball tonight, big game, Viejas Arena, 7:30. Aztecs host Colorado State. Colorado State only 3-6 in conference right now. San Diego State 8-1. Aztecs cannot look past the Rams. I watched the Rams last Friday night against Utah State. They were beating Utah State most of the game. Utah State came back late. Big game tonight at home, because then they've got to go to Logan, Utah for that early game on Saturday at 10 a.m. Against Utah State Aggies. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've watched Utah State 3 times. I think the Aztecs should be fine, but I know it'll be a wideout probably, and they'll do this and that, and they'll be all geared up. And the Aztecs are going to have to deal with the hostile environment, but they've got to win tonight. They've got to win tonight. Also tonight, up in Malibu, Firestone Fieldhouse. I always get a smile on my face. I had the opportunity to play in Firestone Fieldhouse before it was ever dedicated back in 1975. It was dedicated, I believe, in 1975 because I played in it during the summer of 1975 because I was a participant in the John Wooden basketball camp. Coach Wooden held a basketball camp there that I went to that summer. I went the year before to Cal Lutheran, and then I went in between my junior and senior year to Malibu to Pepperdine and got to play in Firestone Fieldhouse before they ever dedicated the building. That's the type of pull that Coach Wooden had back in the day. But tonight, USD 9-13 overall, 3-6 in conference takes on the Pepperdine Wave, 6-16, 1-8. And then tomorrow night, I'll be at Lion Tree Arena, 7 o'clock. You have a really talented UC Santa Barbara squad coming in to take on UC San Diego. Hey, just want to remind everyone, the Farmers Insurance Open, the Pro-Am already underway today. First round tomorrow, wraps up this coming Sunday. And remember, Brooks Koepka back on the PGA Tour. So he'll be out there at Torrey Pines. And let's get to our coach's mailbag today. Oh man, a lot of good stuff today. David, hey coach, I wish the NCAA would allow challenges from a head coach in some sort of way. That was such an egregious call by the officials in that Grand Canyon game. Well, there's certain things you can challenge. That I guess wasn't one of them. Or maybe they'd already challenged and they'd lost their challenge. I can't recall, to be honest with you. But I know in the NBA you can challenge foul calls. But I think it's under 2 minutes. It's all by the officials, and the officials aren't going to take a look at that. But that was a bad call. That happens over the course of 30, 35 games. You're going to get homered every once in a while. Very unfortunate, though. Okay, what else we got today? Kith, you wants the Padres to win. If you give some of the contract money back to the organization, maybe they can upgrade the rotation for the 2026 season. They've got to work that out. Major League Baseball Players Association is not going to allow Yu Darvish to give back money right now. And quite frankly, I think Yu Darvish, the best way to approach it, if he wants to give back money, I think, and I said it, I'll stand behind it. I think he deserves to get his salary for 2026. He's going to rehab. He's going to try to come back. If he wants to avoid 27 and 28 and then see where he's at, and then the Padres could either re-sign him or somebody else could re-sign him once he's completely healthy, that's cool. And the Players Association may not like it, but Yu Darvish is a man of honor, and he would probably do that without too many problems. Joel Wolf, his agent, probably, nah, man, we want that money. We want that money. But I think the Padres, they've got insurance on these guys. And I saw Altuve not going to play in the World Baseball Classic, nor Carlos Correa, because they couldn't get insurance on themselves. So they're not going to play in the WBC. But I would imagine the Padres, on their big freight players, they have insurance on them. So I think Darvish should get paid this year. But if he wants to void the final 2 years, that's up to you, Darvish. He signed that deal. Padres signed that deal. You signed it in good faith. Padres gave it to him in good faith. We didn't know this was going to happen. But it's always something you're concerned about with a veteran pitcher. So I say he gets paid for 2026, and then whatever you wants to do after that, that's up to him. That's the way I'd look at that. Okay, what else we got here? Thank you for watching. All right, man, good show today. Please subscribe, please like, please share, please tell a friend. And if you'd like, you can sign up for our Gold Glove members package, $2.99 a month. Appreciate any support you can give the channel. Thanks again to our buddy Tim Neverett, play-by-play voice of the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll be back in on Friday. Thank you to our director and producer, Jonathan Oliveri. And have a great day. And I'll talk to you again on Friday morning at 9 a.m. Bye-bye.